Hello everyone. In our previous lecture, we had discussed about the various revolutions and the problems facing by the Indian farmers. In this lecture, we will discuss about the various initiatives taken by the government and also about the some institutions which helping the Indian farmers in managing finance. So let's start. So the first is the government initiatives. Okay, what are the initiatives have been taken by the government? Have been taken by the government to help the farmers. Have been taken by government to help the farmers. Okay, so here you can see there is a first initiative taken by the government which is known as the minimum support price. So let's have a discussion over it first. Basically what happened, if you remember, I had told you in a previous lecture that during the 1966 to 1967 we had Green Revolution. Green Revolution first phase. Green Revolution first phase, and during 1977 to 1980s we had second phase. So what happened during these phases was very uncertain, because suddenly the production raised up. Due to this, supply of food grains overcome the demand of food grains. Okay, so we can understood by the example. Suppose if we had a demand of 100 units and we were able to produce only 20 units and the rest 80 units were obtaining by imports before the Green Revolution. After Green Revolution, what happened? We were able to obtain 120 units because of high yielding variety seeds, proper use of fertilizers, good irrigation, transportation, storage, and market access. We had a surplus units in the market. Okay, so here you can see we only had a demand for 100 units, but there was 120 units consignment in the market. 120 units consignment in the market, or you can say there were only 100 units demand, but 120 units were supplied to the market. And what happened? These excess 20 units laid down the prices of crops. Basically, we understand, like only the 100 people are demanding for food and there are a food for 120 people. So what happens whenever there is a supply overcomes the demand, always price goes down. Similarly, when demand overcomes the supply, prices rise up. This is called law of demand. Okay, law of demand. And similarly, the law of demand was working during this time because we had excess of supply and we didn't have any demand for these things. So what So what happened? The prices were falling down rapidly and the farmers were not getting what they had invested in the production. So that's why the government had to introduce the minimum support price. It means fixed rate. It means fixed rate on which government will purchase the crops. Okay, simply means there is a fixed rate on which government will purchase the crop if no one is purchasing the farmer's crop. Simply means if government has decided ₹10 per kg for the farmers, and if the private vendors is asking for ₹8 per kg, then the farmer can sell his products to the government on ₹10 per kg. So no one is allowed to purchase the goods from the farmers below this rate, which has been decided by the government. Got it? And which organization or which body decided this rate? This rate is decided by Committee for Agriculture, Cost and Production. Committee for Agriculture, Cost and Production. CACP. Okay. This committee is in charge of deciding MSP rates. Got it? Okay. And MSP is basically calculate on 1/3 of total production cost. Second, market situation. Third, inflation rate. And the fourth, climatic factor. First one, second one, third one, and the fourth one. Okay, so these are the factors. Calculate on the 1/3 of total production cost, then the market situation where there is an excess or there is a shortage of the goods. Second, inflation rate. If the inflation rate is already high, the minimum support price will be down so that people could easily purchase their food. And the climatic factor basically helps the government to decide whether the farmers should receive a high payment because most of their crops get damaged, or whether they should receive a fair amount because there was no such harsh conditions in the climatic point of view. Okay, so that's how the MSP decided, and total 22 crops are covered. Total 22 crops are covered under MSP. Got it? And there is a fair and remunerative price for sugarcane, which is also known as FRP. FRP. So remember these things. MSP was introduced during the year of 1966 to 1967 during the first wave of the Green Revolution. It covers 22 crops. Okay, and it is launched by the Committee for Agriculture, Cost and Production. Okay, and it's calculated on 4 factors: 1/3 of production cost, market situation, inflation rate, and climatic conditions. Got it? And for sugarcane especially, we have some other price system known as fair and remunerative price for sugarcane, in short FRP. Got it? Now, second one is a Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Okay? So basically the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana was launched in the year of 2016. Basically, when we were discussing about the problems facing by the Indian farmers, remember we had a discussion that Indian agriculture is largely depend on monsoon. Okay, So because of the monsoon, there are mainly two conditions happen. First condition is flood. If the monsoon is too high and the rains are too high, then there would be a condition of flood. Second is drought. If the monsoon is lacking, then there would be a condition of drought. In both the conditions, the crops face negative impact. And especially in the case of India, where about 17 to 80% of GDP depend upon the agriculture, it is very essential to ensure the farmers, which is about more than 50% of total workforce of the country, must get a good amount or must get a coverage. Bima basically stands for insurance. Coverage against the damage of their crops. Okay. So with this point of view, in the year of 2016, government launched Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Okay. Under this, the government had decided to provide insurance to the crops. Insurance to the crops. And what was that insurance? Suppose, let's take an example. He is a farmer. He had this land. Okay. And in this land, he has some crops. And he knows his region may be flooded. Maybe flooded or maybe in drought. Okay. Any of such condition could happen with him. So, in that scenario, he could reach the authorities and he could ask for the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, in short PMFBY. Okay, so then the government official will arrive to his place, measure the crop area, okay, and they decided certain insurance amount. They decided certain insurance amount to pay in case of damage. If any damage happened to his crops, then the government will pay certain amount. Also, as you know, insurance requires premium to pay. If any one of you ever purchased insurance, then you know against the insurance amount you have to pay some premium. Similarly, in this case, the government decided some premium to be paid by the farmers. First for Kharif crops, second for Rabi crops. First for Kharif, second for Rabi, and third for commercial. Okay. So, in case to claim the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, you are required to pay some premium. For Kharif, it is 2%. For Rabi, it is 1.5%. For commercial crops, it is about 5%. Okay. So, a farmer who is claiming the rights under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana required to pay this premium to the government authorities. Kharif crop 2%, Rabi crops 1.5%, and commercial crops 5%. Got it? So, here we have finished about the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Got it? Now, come to the next point. It is Soil Health Card Scheme. Basically, this scheme was launched by government in the year of 2015. Okay, in the year of 2015, the government has launched Soil Health Card Scheme. And the question is, what is Soil Health Card Scheme and what was its requirements and why it was introduced? The first thing, as I have told you, India has so many types of soil, like alluvial soil, then black soil, then regur soil, red soil, laterite soil, marshy soil. Okay, so these are some kind of soils which are generally found in India. Okay, and what happened, as I have told you, there is impossibility that the soil A will be similar to soil B in every conditions. Okay, there could be some factors like factor 1 or factor 2 could be similar with factor 1 and factor 2 of B, but it never be happen that the factor 3 would be similar to factor 3 of the B. It could never be happen. So generally soil A and soil B will be never similar in terms of the constituent, in terms of the characteristics. Got it? So that's why alluvial soil, black soil, regular soil, red soil, laterite soil and the marshy soil, they all are differentiated in between them. They may be surplus in some condition and they may be in loss in some conditions. They may be in surplus in some conditions and they may be at loss in some conditions. Okay, so this is about the general introduction of the soils. But one more and the main reason behind the introduction of this soil health card was usage of soil. For this, we could take an example. Suppose if you have buy a cycle, and you use it regularly, then after some time it got depreciated. You have to change its tires, you have to greasing it, you have to tighten its brake, and other things. Okay, so here we can conclude, if a thing is in use for continuation, then there would be a depreciation or there would be a depletion. There would be a decreasing in its strength. Got it? So if the thing is in continuous usage, then there will be a decreasing in its strength, which we call depreciated. Got it? Similarly, the case is with the soils. If the soils are in continuous usage, then there would be a depreciation. There would be a depreciation in soils as well, because on the agricultural side, the soil gone under irrigation changes, uses of fertilizers, uses of pesticides, etc. So due to this, there would be an impact of soil health, and farmer production would be goes down. So to educate the farmer about the soil condition on which he is doing cultivation, the soil health card scheme was launched, and it was launched in 2 phases, first phase and second phase. First phase is from 2015 to 2017 and second phase is from 2017 to 19. In first phase, there were 10 crore cards, and in second phase there were 11 point, here you can say basically round off 11 crore of cards. So in first phase, 10 crore farmers would be benefited, and second case 11 crore farmers were getting benefited. Getting soil health card means on which they were harvesting, they got card about that soil. Okay, so this is about the soil health card. Remember one thing, the government had permitted the local villagers who want to establish the laboratory at their village, so that the people of their village, so the villagers do not have to go to the far places. They can establish village laboratories. Village laboratories. Or you can say laboratories from young person of village up to person of 65 years of age. If the person lies between this age scenario, then he could open the village laboratories. Okay, and 75% cost of village laboratory will be paid by central and state government. Got it? So this is about the soil health card scheme. Now come to the next topic, which is agricultural schemes and the institutions. Basically, the government had introduced so many institutions to help the farmers. Actually, as I have told you in the previous lecture, that there is a rural indebtedness. Means the farmers facing financial support issues. There could be so many possibilities happen to the farmers about the financial, like to bear cost of production. You wanted to produce 100 units for which you required 1000 rupees, but you had only 500 rupees and you want 500 rupees more. So you have to borrow it from somewhere. And if you borrow, then there would be a interest rate on it. Okay, and interest rate should be on your favor, so that if you borrow 500 rupees, so interest rate should be about 10% or 9% after a year, so that you have to only pay 550 rupees. But if you are paying it from somewhere where the interest rate are unreasonable, suppose 100%, then after a year you have to pay 1000 rupees. So already you are in shortage, and if you have to pay this much of amount when you repay your loan, then there would be a more crisis for the farmers. Got it? So it was a serious issue. First is cost of production issue, as we had discussed. Second factor is crop damage. Crop damage. Suppose you produce 100 units, 10 rupees each, 1000 is your production cost. Then you decided to sell it for 20 each, and 1200 will be your earning. And if you minus earning from production, then 200 would be your profit. Got it? But what happened? You produce 100 units for 1000 rupees, but out of 100, 50 got damaged and only 50 units were saved. And if you sell them at 20, you only receive 1000 rupees. Here, there is no profit, and also 100 rupees which you had invested, you only recovered this hardly. And it is a good scenario. I'm not talking about the worst scenario as well. Okay, so crop damage is also a serious issue. And if the farmers want to borrow money from safe zones, then they had to go to the banks. And banks generally likes to invest in infrastructure, businesses, and government security. Or you can say government bonds. Okay, so basically the banks are very interested in investment of their money in these areas. They are not interested to give loans to the farmers. So to dealing with this condition, the government had introduced NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, in the year of 1981. So the NABARD was established in the year of 1981. Okay, and it has a one rule to provide support to farmers and institutions helping farmers. Okay, we would have a in-depth discussion on awards in our upcoming lecture. Till then, remember, it was established in the year of 1981 to provide support to farmers and to provide support to the institutions who are helping the farmers. Now, Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. Okay. So, the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana is basically introduced to incentivize states to increase public investment in agriculture and allied sectors. Okay, basically it is done to attract the private players. Private players, state authorities, and cooperative societies. Invest more and more in the agriculture so that they could earn the more incentives. Basically, so you can understand, like if this was a land and here the farmer could produce 100 units, but he is only producing 50 units due to lack of financial support. So instead of paying him money so that he could produce 100 units, the government would try to attract the private players, state authorities and the cooperative societies to give him money so that he could produce 100 units, and government will support them through minimum support price, infrastructure support, and market and storage facilities. So that the farmer and the investors who invested in his field would get incentives and will get incentives and will get good return. Okay, and when the private sector get involved in the agriculture, the income of the farmers as well as the GDP will grow up because the private players always have a good amount of money to invest. Like you have understood about the Lay's, okay, Maaza, or you can say the Fanta, Uncle Chips. I hope you have listened about it and even you have consumed them once in your life. Okay, so these are some of the private players who have their business in the agricultural field. Okay, so if they invested in the farmers' land, so both the farmers and these companies will get benefited because the government will ensure their infrastructure support, market access and the storage facilities so that they both could earn good amount. Thereafter, the Kisan Credit Card. Basically, the Kisan Credit Card was introduced in the year of 1988 to provide affordable and timely credit to farmers. If this farmer need a loan, if the farmer require a credit, then instead of going to bank and requesting the money, he could go to the bank and apply for loan through the credit card, which is about rupees 1 lakh to 1.5 lakhs. So basically the Kisan Credit Card was introduced to make easy farmers to get loan from the banks. Okay, and also it could be used as an ATM so that the farmers could take money from the ATM machines as well. Take money from card as ATM, from ATM as well. Okay, so in this lecture we had finished about the agriculture sector. In our next lecture we will discuss about the industries and the infrastructures. Till then, thank you.